33. Taj Mahal, Lavanya's POV. From a distance, the Taj Mahal looked like a magnificent monument. But as we walked closer, its true grandeur became apparent. "You've got to be kidding me! This is freaking huge!" Mr. Dawson exclaimed. And honestly, he stole the words right out of my mouth. I had been about to say the exact same thing. While the other office members eagerly took photos, I simply stood there, mesmerized by the eternal symbol of love. I wish I were Mumtaz. The thought slipped out before I even realized I had spoken aloud. Feeling their gazes land on me, I quickly tried to justify my words. She was lucky to have a resting place like this. It's literally heaven on earth. They both nodded in agreement, turning their eyes back to the wonder before us. Thank God. "Hey Lavi," Ruhi's voice called out from behind. Virat sir and I turned to see her approaching with her phone in hand. "Pose and smile," she instructed, ready to snap a picture of us together. We stood side by side, posing for the camera. Then she had us sit on a bench with the Taj Mahal as our backdrop. "Wow, how romantic!" she teased, grinning at her screen. "Okay, now it's the girl's turn. Sir, please take a picture of me and Livio," she said, shoving her phone at Virat sir. He took several photos of us posing, pouting, and making playful expressions. As I continued taking pictures with my colleagues, I noticed Mr. Dawson standing alone, silently watching me. He looked as though he was waiting for me to join him. "Sir, what are you doing standing here alone? Come, we're taking a group picture," Balram sir called out, motioning for Mr. Dawson to join. "No, I'm fine," he replied indifferently, clearly uninterested in the whole photo session. Balram sir gave the rest of us a look, urging us to convince him. "Sir, please." The office staff chimed in, pleading for him to join. With a deep sigh, he relented, stepping into the frame, though his disinterest was obvious. We took solo pictures, couple pictures, best friends pictures, and large group shots. At one point during the men's group photo, Virat sir and Mr. Dawson had to stand side by side. The tension between them was almost comical. It was like forcing two magnets of the same pole together. Their expressions made it painfully clear that they were both suffering through it. Eventually, the team scattered across the grounds, admiring the gardens, fountains, and architectural wonders of this heavenly place. "This is so beautiful. I wish I could come here every day," I sighed, my eyes roaming over the breathtaking scenery. "When we're married, I'll bring you here every month." The whispered words sent a shiver down my spine. Virat sir had leaned in close, his voice low and teasing. My eyes widened and I turned to face him. He smirked, wiggling his eyebrows playfully. I blinked, looking away, not from shyness, nor from the mention of marriage, but from the sheer awkwardness of his far-off fantasy. Maybe it's just because we're in a public place right now. I didn't know if Mr. Dawson had heard what was said, but he had definitely seen Virat sir whispering in my ear. His expression darkened, and without a word, he stormed ahead, his anger unmistakable. "Sir, you don't have any right to stop him, do you?" My inner voice taunted. After half an hour of wandering, we finally began climbing the steps of the Taj Mahal. Every single white marble tile gleamed like the surface of the moon, each one measuring 5 by 8 feet. The Pietra Dura inlay work was so perfectly symmetrical that no one would believe it had been crafted by hand rather than by machines. "It's so beautiful, isn't it?" I sighed, gazing up at the grand entrance. But there was no response. I turned to look at Virat sir, only to realize he was nowhere to be seen. Scanning the crowd, I searched for him, but he had completely vanished. Just then, I felt a familiar hand grasp mine. For a moment, I assumed it was him. But before I could turn to confirm, the grip tightened and I was suddenly being pulled away. I gasped in alarm. Oh, who is this? Do I know him? What if it's a stranger? But as my eyes landed on the back of the figure leading me away, I exhaled in relief. It was none other than the American monster. I considered resisting, but I let him take me wherever he wanted. I wasn't in the mood to scream or create a scene, especially not in a place symbolizing love. He led me into a dimly lit corner where the shadows swallowed most of the light. Why are we here? Before I could ask, he abruptly turned and pinned me against the wall, resting both hands on either side of me, trapping me in place. Oh my God! The sudden darkness made it difficult to focus, leaving me disoriented. My heart pounded. What now? As my eyes gradually adjusted, I caught a glimpse of the Taj Mahal reflected in his sky and blue irises. The contrast of colors was mesmerizing. It was almost unreal. Now that he was so close, every detail of his face was visible. He didn't speak. He simply stared. And I found myself locked in his gaze. For a moment, nothing existed between us except the silence, filled only by the rhythm of our breathing and the pounding of our hearts. Then, after what felt like an eternity, he exhaled slowly and finally spoke. What are you trying to do? Suddenly I heard him asking. Huh? The sound that left my throat was barely more than a breathy whisper. He sighed, closing his eyes for a moment. The warmth of his breath brushed against my skin, sending shivers down my spine. Someone is driving me crazy, Miss Lavanya, he muttered. I blinked in confusion. Who? I managed to ask, though my voice was barely audible. Don't you know? His eyes searched mine. I shook my head slowly. He sighed again, more deeply this time. That story you told me about the Taj Mahal, do you really believe in it? His sudden question caught me off guard. Yes, it's a true story after all, I replied hesitantly. You know, that story didn't make me sad because of its tragedy, he admitted. It made me sad because you said no one could ever love someone the way that king loved his wife. His gaze darkened, growing more intense. Do you really believe that? His question left me momentarily lost. I had never truly thought about it before. Well, I don't know. I mean, yes, I guess, I mumbled. You're wrong, he said, and my eyes snapped back to his. You're wrong, Miss Lavanya, he repeated, his voice quieter, but filled with conviction. There is someone who loves someone like that. No, not just like that. He took a step closer, his gaze locking onto mine. In fact, more than that. What do you mean? I asked, my breath shaky as my heart pounded like a drum against my chest. Do you believe in that kind of love, Miss Lavanya? He asked again, ignoring my question. Of course, who wouldn't? Yeah, I guess, I stammered, my voice cracking as I looked into his eyes. Can you love someone like that? He asked boldly. I gasped. Oh, I had never truly considered it before. Could I ever love someone the way Shah Jahan loved Mumtaz? Could I? After a long pause, I finally found the words. I don't know what to say. I've never felt that way. I know, he murmured. You've never thought about it before, but I promise you, one day you will love someone like that. It sounded like a challenge, a prophecy wrapped in a whisper. I stared at him, intrigued, unsure what to make of his words. And then, his gaze flickered to my lips. A restless energy took hold of me as he slowly closed the small distance between us. My breath hitched, my pulse drumming in my ears. He moved closer and closer and closer. The tip of his nose brushed against mine, his warm breath fanning my lips, sending goosebumps down my spine. We were barely an inch apart. His face blurred before me as my eyes fluttered shut, surrendering to the intoxicating tension between us. Stop him. Stop yourself. This isn't right. A faint voice of reason whispered in my mind, but it was already fading. I had lost control of my own body. Slowly, he brushed his cheek against mine, his stubble jaw grazing my skin. The sensation was electric, like a scorpion's venom seeping into my veins, spreading heat through every nerve in my body. My mind went blank. "Love," he whispered, his voice dripping with seduction, sending a shiver down my spine. "You know what?" he murmured, his breath caressing my ear. "I won't build a Taj Mahal for the woman I love, because I won't let her go anywhere without me. I won't build her a grave. I'll build her a home as grand as the Taj Mahal, where I can watch her smile every single day. I want to live every little moment of my life with her." His words melted through me like fire through wax. At that moment, I was a candle, and he was the flame. A sudden, overwhelming urge surged through me, to touch him, to hold on to something solid as my knees weakened beneath me. I lifted both hands and clutched the sides of his leather jacket at his waist, gripping tightly as if he were the only thing keeping me upright. I pulled him closer, instinctively seeking his warmth. As our bodies pressed together, his chest expanded against mine with a deep inhale. I could feel his heartbeat drumming in sync with mine, his breath hot against my skin. It felt safe, whole, like finding water in a scorching desert, like breathing again after a lifetime of suffocating. I didn't know why. I only knew one thing. It didn't feel wrong at all. His breath, warm and slow, fanned the sensitive spot just below my earlobe, sending another shiver racing through me.
Jackie's POV. I didn't know why I'd brought her there, or why I'd said all those things, but I wanted to, and I didn't stop to think twice about it. When I leaned in, I expected her to stop me, push me away like before, but she didn't. I brushed my nose against hers, half expecting another slap like last time, but it never came. Her lips trembled, and I was dying to press mine against them. The desire to kiss her was unbearable, so instead I slid my face to the side, brushing my cheek against hers. Her skin was unbelievably soft, like silk beneath my touch. "Love," I whispered, relishing the warmth of her skin against mine. "You know what? I won't build a Taj Mahal for the woman I love, because I won't let her go anywhere without me. I won't build her a grave. I'll build her a home as grand as the Taj Mahal, where I can watch her smile every single day. I want to live every little moment of my life with her." And then something unexpected happened. She grabbed my leather jacket and pulled me closer. I gasped in disbelief. How? My inner voice was stunned. One single touch, just one, and all the chaos inside me stilled. Forget it. I don't care. I just want to savor this moment. Her warmth seeped into me, her body pressed against mine like she belonged there. Her skin, soft as satin, sent waves of heat through me. I was burning with desire. No, I can't. She is lost in the moment right now, caught in something beyond her control. She would regret this later if I let myself go. I can't make that mistake. I can't lose her. I just can't. "Lavanya," I whispered into her ear. She didn't react. She didn't move. "Love," I tried again, my voice softer this time as I placed my hand gently against her cheek. She hummed, like she was drifting in a dream. I pulled away slightly, just enough to see her face. Her eyes were still closed, her expression peaceful, almost blissful. A deep satisfaction filled me, and I smiled to myself. "We need to go." I stroked her cheek with the back of my fingers, though every part of me wanted to stay in this moment forever. Slowly, her eyes fluttered open. She looked at me, her lips curling into the faintest smile, a perfect, delicate smile. I kept staring at her, still lost in the haze of what had just happened. But then, her smile vanished. She blinked once, twice, her eyes widened, her peaceful expression giving way to panic. And just like that, the best moment of my life was gone. Reality crashed over her like a wave. She started trembling, her entire body stiff with fear. Seeing her distress, I immediately pulled away, stepping back to give her space. She clutched her stole tightly against her chest, her gaze darting anywhere but at me. Her lips parted, but no words came out. No. This is, she mumbled to herself, shaking her head in disbelief. Seeing her like this, I instinctively reached out and rubbed her arm with my left hand. Hey, calm down, don't panic. But the moment my hand touched her, she flinched away as if I had burned her. Shaking her head, she looked at me like I was a mistake. Like what had just happened between us was a mistake. I had expected this reaction, but not like this. She spun on her heels and ran. I stood there, watching her disappear until she was completely out of sight.
Lavanya's POV. I ran and ran, not daring to look back. The world around me blurred as I rushed past people, trees, marble pathways. But I didn't care. I didn't want to see or hear anything. My mind was a chaotic mess, completely clouded, my conscience failing to function. I blocked everything out. I just kept running. I didn't know where I was going, I just knew I couldn't stop. I don't want to face anyone, not right now. Slowing down, I spotted a wooden bench nestled beneath a large tree. Without a second thought, I collapsed onto it, breathless. It was quiet there, isolated. No one would find me. My breathing remained uneven, my chest rising and falling rapidly. But the cool shade of the tree, the rustling leaves whispering in the breeze, slowly worked to calm me down. I need this. I didn't want to think. I wanted a blank mind. Closing my eyes, I inhaled deeply, filling my lungs with the fresh, earthy scent of the Taj Mahal gardens. Minutes passed in silence. When I finally opened my eyes, my gaze drifted to the gleaming white marbles of the Taj Mahal's back view. I stared at its flawless beauty, its purity, but it did nothing to lessen the shame clawing at my chest. Even with my mind blank, the tears came. Slowly at first, then uncontrollably. I squeezed my eyes shut, letting them fall freely, hoping they would wash away the turmoil inside me. But they didn't. Lavya? My eyes snapped open at the sound of Ruhi's voice, calling from a distance. She walked towards me, concern etched across her face. What are you doing here alone? I shook my head wordlessly, refusing to meet her gaze. A few moments later, she sat beside me. Are you okay? Her voice was softer now. I nodded slowly. Then why are you crying? I said nothing, wiping my face with the edge of my stole. I didn't have the strength to lie. I didn't have the courage to tell the truth. Ruhi hesitated before asking, "Can I ask you something?" I gave a slight nod. What's going on between you two? I turned to her, my brows furrowed. Who? How did she know? You know exactly who I'm talking about, she said, raising a knowing eyebrow. My breath hitched. Did she see us? Panicking, I turned away and rambled. Nothing. He's just our boss. I respect him, and he's the owner of the company where we work, that's all. Nothing else. I just try to be friendly because he's new here. He misses his country and he knows nothing about India, so I... Wait. Ruhi frowned, cutting me off. What are you talking about? I blinked at her in confusion. I was asking about you and Virat, sir. My heart stopped. My eyes widened. I gasped, instinctively turning away and hiding my face. An awkward silence hung between us. Ruhi studied me carefully before speaking again. What the hell is going on, Lavanya? She paused, her eyes narrowing. Are you? She didn't finish the sentence, but the intensity of her stare sent shivers down my spine. Her silence was terrifying,